So I realize this is a right-of-way type insurance group, so I thought I would bring our underground tunnel video to give you an idea of what is underground in downtown Seattle. This is posted on our website, so for folks to review at their leisure. Go ahead and start. And what this shows is it takes you kind of on what we call a gopher's eye view. You know, we're just kind of going underground under the city grid. So like I said already, we're starting here under Alaskan Way, kind of goes catty corner under here, under First Avenue, then loops back in. So right here, you're looking straight north. Existing viaduct on your right-hand side. Alaskan Way is here. So we take off about King Street. And you can see there's a variety of utilities underground. Many of these utilities are supported on pilings because the ground is not very good. So not only do we have to accommodate and miss the utilities, we have to accommodate and miss the support structures for the utilities also. The bored tunnel, of course, is right here. A key box opens up on the right-hand side with a moving red dot to show you exactly where you are at any point in time. These lines of whitish piers over here on the right, that's the existing viaduct. These other shorter pilings over here shown in black, those are the support structures for the seawall. So you can see it's very important when you're building a tunnel to know exactly what's above you. One, you know, some of the folks above you have property rights, and of course we have to deal with that. And then, you know, the city utilities, it's very important that we maintain those and we understand what those are and put appropriate mitigation measures into place. So here we just went under the viaduct itself, and now we're coming up under First Avenue up here. This building here that we're going under, that's the federal building. We're still trying to get the as-built to their basement. They seem to be a little reluctant to give those up. But yeah. So anyway, we're going up under First Avenue. Here we go under the old Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad tunnel, which, by the way, has been in operation under Seattle for over 100 years. There's over 150 tunnels in Seattle for various utilities and transportation purposes, all of which have functioned extremely well in the seismic events that we have had. The above ground structures tend to not do quite as well. It's a common misconception that folks may think that being in a tunnel during a seismic event is riskier. History has shown that it's actually better. And tunnels survive much better during those types of events. Okay, so here's also a bird's eye view of the tunnel alignment here. We did this initially to figure out what our sales tax figures are, because we have some kind of fun rules that say if we're under private or federal land, we have certain sales tax rules. If we're under state-owned or private land, it's a different set of sales tax rules. So we were trying to map out how much sales tax we're dealing with at any point in time. But we also looked at that and go, wow, you know, that's a really good illustration for property owners. The buildings that are shown in green, that's our anticipated area of influence that the tunnel could affect. So we're going to put in monitoring systems on all the buildings that are shown in green and do pre-construction surveys on those. The buildings that are shown in the portions of the buildings that are shown in purple are ones that we're going directly underneath. And since it's going to be a limited access facility, that's where we get into the acquisition rights process. Not that there's going to be a great desire for people to try to access the tunnel 200 feet down below their building, but there are still some rights involved. So moving on to the next one. So I think we had about 158 buildings in the monitoring area. About 30 of those we feel probably need a little bit of pre-construction improvements on the foundations. So what we would do is we would go in and we would improve the ground between the tunnel and underneath of the buildings so that if any minor amounts of settlement occurred, that they would be limited down to this area and wouldn't propagate up to the buildings themselves. Many of the buildings in the area can handle the quarter-inch, half-inch of settlement that may occur, but some are older, of different type, and so those ones that we determined we don't want to be paying for fixing a bunch of cracks in walls and stuff like that. The contractor will go in here and do some pre-work to mitigate that risk. Like I said, about 158 buildings in the area where we go through and we gain right of entry on those. We do visual surveys. We install instruments to monitor where they are, and then as we go under them, we'll go back and we'll do final surveys to make sure that the condition has not changed. So everyone has a baseline. Mentioned before, the tunnel is right here. It's about a 54-foot diameter tube. We would be acquiring what we call a three-dimensional limited access box. Normally on a limited access facility, you're up on the top of the ground. You're just acquiring all the access rights side to side. But here, we want to be sure that as this thing is built, that future development on properties above it are not putting anything below it in jeopardy. So there would be like maximum depths of foundations type of conditions placed on the parcels above, and probably maximum weight loads. So those, of course, would all have to be taken into account as we negotiate with the property owners above us for that limited access right. And to wrap this up and then open it up for questions, of course, the main goal of this project is safety. The viaduct is vulnerable, and we do need to remove it. The end state, of course, is once it is removed, the city has some very good plans in place, one of which is fixing up the seawall, which is there's a ongoing design effort on that. They also have a very well attended design forum out of which they selected a kind of world-renowned urban designer to design what this waterfront would look like when the viaduct is gone. There's one other common misconception I'd like to clear up, which is the area where the viaduct is right over here. You can see that we're not picturing a whole bunch of condos built up on previous city-owned land. That's because where the viaduct that is where Alaskan Way will then go. Alaskan Way currently is over here and is sucked up right against the sidewalk and the piers, and there's not a lot of pedestrian space. So the master plan is once the viaduct is gone, the city will retain that land. They will build a revised and improved Alaskan Way on that point, and then that opens up this whole waterfront area for greater purposes. And I think I'll leave it there. I think that gives you a pretty good overview of what the program entails, and I want to be sure that I leave some time for questions. So, yes?
How many new jobs will this create?
So the question is, how many new jobs will this create? The current job, which is the Holgate to King Street replacement, that portion of it is creating about 600 jobs over the course of the program. The central waterfront replacement, just the tunnel part with the portals, I think we're predicting about 2,600 jobs for that, but that doesn't include the seawall. The seawall, of course, will create jobs. The Central Water rebuild and Alaskan Way rebuild, that will create jobs as well, and I don't have numbers for those.
Is that talent that's coming from within the state of Washington or from contractors from outside?
So most of the talent would be coming from within this state. The two firms that are bidding on the bored tunnel, they are international firms, and the expertise on how to design and manage a project of that scale does come from overseas in most cases, but that is just the upper management structure. The actual people that are going to be down there in the ground, pouring the concrete, digging the dirt, placing the rebar, that is primarily going to be locals. Yeah.
How far down in the tunnel do you have to actually dig?
So the tunnel is going to be about 200 feet down at its deepest point. Right at the end where we launch it from, it'll be about 50 to 75 feet deep. So that's our range. More questions? Purple.
Why are you only building 2 lanes each direction instead of 3?
So the question is, why are we only building 2 lanes each direction instead of 3? So currently, the viaduct carries about 110,000 cars each day. Okay, that includes about 40,000 cars that come on Elliott and Western. Okay, this proposed tunnel, it bypasses the Elliott and Western corridor, so it only really needs to accommodate 60 to 80,000. It doesn't have to accommodate as many cars as the current viaduct does. One of the key pieces to making the transportation system work is, of course, you still have to account for the Elliott and Western traffic, and the way we do that is once the viaduct is done, is down, we rebuild a new arterial connecting Elliott and Western down to the improved Alaskan Way with sufficient capacity over in its new alignment to handle those cars. So the combination of the capacity in the tunnel and the capacity on the new Alaskan Way is sufficient to replace what's there now.
Does that take into account growth, city growth?
Yeah, the question is, does that account for city growth? And what I would have to say there is, in most cases, yes. It's a complicated question, and we have various models. We have models for 2015, which is roughly the year of opening. We have models for 2030. All of those projections and projected travel times are presented in the environmental impact statement in nice, easy to read tabular form, which I don't have here now. So I guess my recommendation is, if you are really interested in specific modeling of growth and traffic capacity and travel times from point A to point B, a lot of that will be in that document that will be available tomorrow.